All right, I'll call it at 7:40. This is the regular meeting of the District 25 School Board. It is Thursday, May 20th. Madam Secretary, I'm looking to my left today. We're at a little bit. Please note the roll. I do see we have a quorum. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. We have first up recognitions and presentations, but I believe first, before we go to what's on the agenda, I'm going to defer to Anisha for something that's she'd like to share.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to, today, Scott and I had gone to the visitation for a former board member, Susan Pressing, and she truly was a civic leader and an inspiring educator and mother, well, not educator, but an education advocate and a mother. And I got to know Susan about 4 years ago, and truly she was a stranger, and she came out with all the support and advice, and she really is all about, she was about mentoring civic leadership, and with her 12 years of service to the school board, I know this district has been touched by her, and so many lives in Arlington Heights and beyond have been touched by her. So to her family, we as a board share our condolences, and I know that board members Rich and even David Page and Diana Christus, who worked with her more closely, share their deep sorrow for the loss of Susan Pressing. So she is in our hearts and thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you, Anisha. Yeah, if we're hearing the stories of Ms. Pressing, she was someone that we could live up to and emulate. I think this board will move forward very well. So thanks again. Moving on to recognitions and presentations, the retiree recognitions. Dr. Bine.
Yeah, that's right. This is, many of us have said, our favorite meeting of the year. When we get to recognize people that we truly love and appreciate. And so what we'll be doing tonight is I'll call up a principal, and then they will call up any retirees that they have. They have some thoughts to share. We have a small token of our appreciation to share with you as well. So Scott and I are going to move over to the middle table, and then we'll get started.
Hi, it's truly an honor to recognize social worker Mrs. Judy Thompson. She couldn't be here tonight, but Judy has served as social worker at Dryden since 1995. The level of support, care, and compassion she has provided our students and school community over the past 26 years is beyond measure, truly life-changing. She supported individual children with profound needs around
Test.
Thank you. And next we have Principal Donna Bingaman from Greenbrier School.
I don't know that he needed to change the mic. I'm pretty loud. I'm honored tonight to get to speak about Greenbrier's retiree, Betsy Powers. She couldn't join us tonight. I just want to thank Betsy for your dedication to the Greenbrier community. Betsy has been an integral part of the Greenbrier for 18 years. As a special education teacher, she has devoted her time and energy to ensure that our students that learn differently grow both academically and emotionally. She has built wonderful relationships with both her students and their families. Students grow tremendously under her teaching. One of the things that I will miss most is her visits to show me the data demonstrating how much her students have grown, or when she actually brings the child and the child shows me how much they've grown. It is something that I will miss dearly. And she gets as excited as a kid in a candy store to show me how well her students are doing. And it's amazing to see their confidence grow under her care. We will miss Betsy's expertise. Her ability to match the student to the right curriculum and strategies is amazing. She has the ability to see what each child needs to be able to grow. She uses that expertise to help and support her colleagues. And that's all I've been hearing since Betsy said she would retire, is what are we going to do without Betsy? And I've decided I'm not thinking about it yet because I'm not ready. Betsy, thank you so much for everything.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Bonnie, come on up. You're going to be our first one. Bonnie Benningfield. And then a quick hello to Denise Likes and Jamie Faulkner. Hope you're watching. Hi. So you're just going to have to wait a little bit. All right?
Okay.
So I have the distinct honor of recognizing 3 Ivy Hill staff members tonight. They each have left their indelible mark on their students, colleagues, and the community and the school. I can't thank them enough for everything they've done. I have a boo-boo. Can you help? Does it look bad? Can I have an ice pack? What do you do if your son swallows a penny? True disclosure, that was my own son that did this 2 days ago. Over the past 7 years, Jamie has been our answer to all and every question to solve problems and act in an emergency situation. As our RN, she has helped so many of us just with a simple, "Are you okay?" The golden magical remedy, an ice pack, or just listening with her beautiful ear. Jamie has been our steady and calming presence throughout our day, and we missed immensely. Her dedication, expertise, and true sense of care for everyone will be everlasting. I wish Jamie all the best, being the best grandma and spoiling her grandkids to the fullest. Thank you, Jamie, for everything you've done for us over the past 7 years. So my next staff member had my heart when we started talking about the Blueberry Fest in South Haven, Michigan. She doesn't really know this, but those conversations brought me so much joy. I have so many fond memories of eating blueberries, playing on the beach, and swimming in Lake Michigan. So Denise, thank you for always indulging me in those conversations. Even though I've had the pleasure of knowing Denise for over the last 7 years, she's been in District 25 for 30 years. Denise's confidence, dedication, and willingness to support her students are just a few of the admirable qualities she exudes on a daily basis. Her strong leadership and commitment to Ivy over the years has been remarkable. We will all miss Denise immensely, and I know she'll find joy in her next adventures in life. Thank you, Denise Likes, for everything. So, if you haven't guessed, my next person for me will be synonymous with Mr. Case be nimble, Mr. Case be quick, Mr. Case jump over Mrs. Bedingfield. For the past 33 years, I've had the pleasure of jumping over, laughing with, and sharing with, and planning with Bonnie. She has brought so much joy, excitement, and love of learning to her first graders at Ivy. She's been the ensurer of Ivy traditions, staff t-shirts, and everything Ivy. Her energetic love for her students, colleagues, and Ivy are what made her such an important part of Ivy and always will be a part of Ivy. I was so happy that she was selected to represent Ivy Hill in Washington, D.C. for the Blue Ribbon Ceremony. It couldn't have been a better person to represent Ivy. Bonnie, I will miss your true candor, laughter, silliness, and true friendship. It has been a great run for us for sure. I look forward to hearing about all the wonderful adventures your husband, right here, George, will be planning for you, both of you. And I look forward to seeing you soon back at Ivy. To each of the three of you, you truly are amazing educators and people. It has been an honor to work alongside of each of you. Ivy love to each of you, forever and for always.
Good evening. Thank you for inviting me here tonight. Hopefully I'll get through this without tears. There are so many words to describe the two amazing women who are retiring from Olive Mary Stitt. Dedicated, kind, compassionate, hardworking, and loyal are just a few. When I say loyal, the combined years of service of these two ladies is 55 years in District 25. Karen, would you please come? In June of 2020, Karen Hutton retired after 20 years of service as a resource teaching assistant. With COVID on the rise, our staff members were not able to give you the olive send-off that you so deserved. Of those 20 years, I had the privilege of working with Karen for 6 of them. Karen, or Mrs. Hutton, as the kids called her, had a calm yet firm approach and was able to find a way to connect with all of the students she worked with. We could always count on Karen to model patience and persistence. She collaborated with her colleagues and was there to lend a hand or a listening ear to someone in need. Karen was missed, you were missed, more than you will ever know or that words can express. On behalf of the Olive community, I thank you for being you and for giving of yourself to all of us for the past 20 years. Okay, now the tears might flow. Mrs. Vittori, would you come up? Carol Vittori, 35 years of service, all dedicated to District 25. Carol began her career at Ivy Hill Elementary after completing her student teaching in School District 25. After many years at Ivy, she made her way to Olive as an Odyssey Reach teacher. At Olive, she took on many roles, including literacy teacher, kindergarten teacher, and first grade teacher. Carol has been a source of guidance and support for the many individuals that have had the opportunity to work with her over the years. She has mentored new teachers, veteran teachers, and even new principals like me. I can honestly say everyone at the Nest has learned so much from her. Carol, as I was thinking about what I wanted to share, I spent some time looking through your file. I happened to come across a professional learning goal that you set for yourself back in 2010. You wrote, to use technology to improve communication with parents and create a learning platform between home and school. Fast forward to your last year as a teacher during a pandemic, you taught your first graders using Zoom. Who would have known how valuable that goal was going to be in 2021? Thank you for being a dedicated teacher, a compassionate colleague, and a wonderful friend. Thank you.
Next is our Hutton School Principal, Eric Larson.
All right, good evening, everyone. It is my honor to introduce the Patton retirees, and I'm going to ask them both to come up because, well, in a sense, there's a little bit of a package component to this. So Betsy Wilson, if you'd please come up, and Idel Malamed, if you would come up. All right, I will begin with Betsy. Betsy, it's been a pleasure to work with Betsy during my 7 years at Patton. Betsy is a kind, compassionate teaching assistant who loves working in the LMC and has been an incredible partner with Idel. If you know Betsy, you know she has a distinct affinity for alliteration. And some of the things I've learned about Betsy over the years is that she is a creator of classy cards. She's a fanatic for fancy and free food. She's a coordinator of clothes. She's the sultan of social and a sipper of Starbucks who happens to be enamored with Elvis and crazy for the Cubs. Additionally, she might just move mountains for mashed potatoes. But most importantly, she has a passion for all things Patton and the people within the building. Betsy, thank you so much for your commitment to the students and the community at Patton, for your 28 years of service to District 25. And I wish you nothing but the best in retirement, and you will truly be missed. Congratulations. Idel is the Patton LMC director and the ultimate champion of books and reading, and is one who could provide anyone in this room with a book recommendation if you just simply tell her something that you're interested in. Her commitment, selflessness, passion, and talent are unmatched, and she is leaving behind a legacy of excellence at Patton. Idel has the innate ability to ignite a spark, to fan a flame, and create a fire within students to pursue their passions in all the wonderful places that might take them. Through these experiences that Idel's created, students have learned to think critically, to find their voices, and to use their voices for good. And so much good has come from the simple wonders within the LMC. Idel, you too will be deeply missed at Patton, and I wish you well on your journey into retirement and want to thank you for your 13 years of dedication and service to our community, school, and district. Congratulations.
Thank you, Eric. Next is Principal Ann Buck from Westgate Elementary School.
So I have the distinct honor of recognizing 4 Westgate Wolverines this evening, 2 of which were not able to join us. So the first person, and if Ginger is watching, I want to share that Ginger has worked in District 25 and Westgate for 14 years, most recently in 3rd grade. As a teacher, Ginger was dedicated to hands-on cooperative learning, especially focusing on STEAM. You could find her working hard all day, going home to have dinner, and then returning to school to work a few more hours each night to ensure a creative learning environment for her students. Before working for District 25, Ginger raised 5 kids and spent time in early childhood education. We miss seeing her smiling face around Westgate, but no, she's enjoying this phase of her life with her family. So to Ginger, if you're watching, you're missed, we love you, and congratulations on your retirement. Our second Wolverine that we want to recognize, who is not able to be here today, is Lisa Hemmer. Lisa has been a dedicated employee, of District 25 for the past 15 years. As a teaching assistant at Westgate, she has brought grace and care to all she does. As stated by a parent in an email I received, Lisa is a huge, not just with one exclamation point, not just with two, but with 3 exclamation points, part of my daughter's team and success. We are so deeply grateful to her and all her work. She is just the best. So Lisa, again, thank you for all you do, and if you're watching, know that we love you and appreciate you as much as your students do. The next Westgate Wolverine I would like to recognize is Karen Wenzel. So Karen, if you'll come on up. Now you get to stand by me. Karen has been an integral part of the Westgate community, first as a parent and then as a teacher for the past 20 years. I have had the pleasure of working closely with Karen on interview teams, helping to select and mentor new teachers to Westgate, as well as the building leadership team where she is an active member and advocate for students and staff. Her colleagues love her. Karen, we are so heartbroken, really I mean this, to lose you, but we are so happy for you to take this next step in your life journey. We wish you many days of happiness, playing with your new grandbaby. Please know that you will always have a place in our hearts and minds at Westgate, in the Westgate community, and we hope that you will continue to visit. Thank you. The last Westgate Wolverine that I'd like to recognize is Nancy Abrascato. So I have had the opportunity to work with Nancy, or Miss A, as she is known by her countless students and families, both as a kindergarten teacher, a peer, an ATA leader, and now as her building principal. Nancy has been a fierce advocate for students and teachers in her 26 years in District 25. As a teacher, she has nurtured young learners and counseled parents through their child's early learning years. As a kindergarten teacher as well, that's not always an easy feat. She does it with grace. Nancy has mentored student teachers as they have learned their craft, ensuring a strong and vibrant future in education. She has given countless hours to working collaboratively with administration for the betterment of staff and students in District 25. She is an irreplaceable member of the Westgate staff. Nancy, we wish you much love and happiness as you move into this new chapter in your life. Enjoy all the moments of being a grandma to Lucas, and please know you will always hold a special place in the hearts of the Westgate community.
Next is Windsor School Principal Lindsay Asta.
Lower this a little shorter. Okay. I have the honor tonight to recognize 2 of our Windsor retirees, Amy Welsenbach, who couldn't be here tonight, and Shannon Kaunick, who is here tonight. So come on up. Amy, I hope you're watching. Amy, I thank you so much for your years of service to our EL students. Congrats to you, Amy. I'm so happy for you. You are ready to take the time to care for you and be closer to your grandbabies. This year has not been easy, and you certainly did not expect it to end the way it has. But it is so apparent how much your students love you and will miss you. You have not only touched the lives of our EL students, but you have shared your passion for art with all of our students. You are one of the hardest working teachers I have met and one of Windsor's biggest cheerleaders. You always have something positive and inspirational to say, and Windsor will dearly miss you. Thank you. And Shannon, what can I say besides congratulations? I'm gonna miss you so much. I am certainly going to miss you next year along with the rest of our staff. Your positivity and problem-solving attitude has been an invaluable asset to our entire Windsor staff, especially your second grade team. Your dedication to children has truly shown through as you went above and beyond during this crazy school year to make connections with all of your students by personally calling them while we were remote. You are so well respected within our community of families, and while I know they will wish you well, you will also be greatly missed. Shannon, your 35 years of service to District 25 and speaks to your amazing commitment to the growth of the students in Arlington Heights. Thank you for all you have done for Windsor and the wisdom and insight you have personally given me.
Next, South Middle School Principal, Dr. Jim Morrison.
Good evening, everybody. I'm very proud to have the opportunity to recognize 6 very special teachers who are retiring from South Middle School. They are Jeannie Kraft, Lisa Aikens, Laurie Pizzalotto, Stacy Cronin, Kim Dyer, and Ellen Bueno. I will begin with the retirees who are not present tonight. There are 4 of them. So Jeannie Kraft. As a teacher assistant, Jeannie Kraft supported and encouraged many students in a variety of different settings at South for the past 25 years. Jeannie was a planner who was always prepared. She found ways to incorporate her love of Chicago sports teams into her lessons. Teachers could always count on her to forge a bond with all of the students, even the difficult ones. Students and staff were always appreciative of her patience and kindness. Jeannie was a positive presence not only in the school, but in the neighborhood as well. Next is Lisa Aikens. Lisa Aikens spent 18 years working to build our students' love of reading and writing as a language arts teacher in multiple grade levels. She began her career at South as a Spanish teacher, but her desire to cultivate our students' interests in reading and storytelling led to her becoming a language arts teacher. Lisa always went above and beyond for her students and worked collaboratively with her colleagues to do what's best for kids. Lisa's friendly and good-natured attitude allowed her to laugh when it was needed and provide support to her teams throughout the year. Next is Stacy Cronin. Stacy welcomed our incoming 6th grade students each year with kindness and care as a social studies teacher. For an amazing 30 years, 6th grade students were nurtured, inspired, and taught skills to be more independent and global thinkers. Stacy has shared her knowledge and instructional skills and love for students with several student teachers throughout her many years. She was always a team player as well as an advocate for our students. Next is Laurie Pizzalotto. Our students with special needs were supported and cared for by Laurie Pizzalotto as South's resource teacher. She has spent 20 years cultivating the minds of our most neediest students. Laurie has worked with the 7th grade students for the majority of her career and has enjoyed assisting in the yearly Laredo Taft outdoor experiences. She was always there for her students, tirelessly finding unique ways to engage them. Laurie's insight into her students' needs helped her guide her team in supporting these students who may not have had the ability to advocate for themselves. Through her compassion and caring ways, Laurie's always did what was best for her kids. And now for our 2 retirees who are present, Kim Dyer and Ellen Bueno. Why don't you come up so you won't be by yourself. All right, you ready? Here we go. Buckle up. As a science teacher for 18 years, Kim Dyer captivated students' minds with amazing projects which forced them to think inquisitively. She demonstrated the true spirit of being a South Cardinal as she worked closely with our student council in creating assemblies and spirit days. Kim was also involved in our Science Olympiad program, along with coaching several student teams throughout her career at South. What I found was something really special was that every year, during the summer, there's nobody at school except for Kim. And the majority of the time, she's planting and watering the flowers out front to make sure South would look beautiful. You are a true South Cardinal, and that's the best that I can say. Thank you for all you've done for kids. All right, last but not least. Ellen Bueno played many roles at South in her 14 years of service, including an ALA teacher and student learning coach. Ellen collaborated closely with the South staff to build upon their instructional skills with the numerous tools she had gathered throughout her career. Her kind heart, warm spirit, and high expectations inspired students to exceed their potential. Ellen encouraged creativity, student voice, and student choice. A little story. Last week, I received an email from a parent whose students graduated several years ago. This parent informed me that one of her children received a special award in writing in college. Her children told their mother their success in college was because they learned everything about reading and writing from Miss Bueno. I think that says it all. Thank you for all that you've done for students and staff at South. All of you, both of you, will be missed greatly. Thank you.
Next, our principal from Thomas Middle School, Laurie Pizzalotto.
It is with great pride that I share gratitude for two very special members of the Wolf Pack who are retiring after a combined 48 years of service. Mr. Crinden, Mr. Dansby, will you please join me up here? First, I would like to thank both of your wives and your families for sharing these wonderful men with us. Thank you so much for your sacrifices. All right, Mr. Crinden. Mr. Crinden is a science and Taft guru at Thomas Middle School. You should see how his face lights up when he's teaching lab experiments to the 6th and 8th graders, or when he's knee-deep in river water with the 7th graders at Taft. One of the greatest things about Russ is how his excitement and love for science extends beyond the classroom. Through his leadership in the Science Olympiad, Russ has inspired countless students to explore and cultivate a love of learning. His teaching has encouraged students to discover and understand how the world works and to apply skills and knowledge in problem solving and building solutions. Russ has mentored many staff members along the way, and he is considered to be a friend to all and a special bowling teammate to a select few. Russ's kindness, his quiet yet quick-witted sense of humor, and his tremendous dedication to Thomas Middle School will be greatly missed. Thank you, Mr. Crinden, for 19 years of service. Our next retiree is a one-of-a-kind legend at Thomas Middle School. With 29 years of service, Mr. Dansby is truly a remarkable facilities operations manager. His dedication to serving, supporting, and taking great care of Thomas Middle School and everyone in it has left such a positive impression on our students and staff that we have created the Leroy Dansby Lean On Me Award in his honor. With this award, each year we plan to recognize an individual in our Wolfpack community that embodies the kind, generous, grateful spirit that Leroy has. Somebody that carries out the principles of be the good and helps others embrace the journey no matter how challenging the road. Leroy, thank you for spreading joy and happiness each and every day with your smile, your friendly hellos, and always with a song in your heart. Your Lean On Me cafeteria sing-alongs taught us what it means to truly feel, hear, and see the pride of the Wolfpack. You are a shining example for others to follow, and you will always have a home in our hearts. Thank you, Mr. Dansby.
On behalf of your colleagues, on behalf of the hundreds of students and their families that you have impacted and who will remember you and talk about you to their own children and their grandchildren. Thank you for being here in District 25. Thank you for being the people each of you came here to be. Thank you for being my teachers and for raising my spirits. I will always appreciate you, and we all always will appreciate you. District 25 is here for you forever and ever. If there's anything we can do to help you, please come let us know. Thank you very much. And I thank you. Have a good evening.
Nice to meet you. Yeah. I'm sure she'll see you.
I know, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That'll be crazy.
All right, take care. See you.
All right, while everyone's leaving, we're going to move on to public comment, and I'll bore everyone with the script before we start. The opportunity. Yeah, let's rush the stage. The opportunity to speak to the board is provided for members of the public who have comments to make about business of the board. The board appreciates hearing from stakeholders and values their thoughts and questions. As the board strives to make the best decisions for the district, public input can be helpful. In order for the board to reserve sufficient time to conduct its business and to operate its meeting in the spirit of civility and decorum, speakers are expected to follow the following guidelines. 1, address the board only at the time provided on the agenda and only after being recognized by the board president. 2, identify yourself and be brief. Your comment must be limited to a maximum of 3 minutes. The board may shorten this allotted time in order to conserve time to allow the maximum number of people the opportunity to speak. 3, please be respectful and courteous, and the board requests that you not make any statements that are personally disrespectful or condescending to board members or the staff. The board typically does not respond to comments or attempt to answer questions during the public comment period, but we do listen intently and appreciate the input from our community. So with that, I have one submission so far, and that's Sam L. Pappas. Come on up to the mic.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sam Pappas. I live on Yale Street and have been a resident of Arlington Heights since 1995. nearly 26 years. I would like to thank the school board for allowing me to speak tonight, and congratulations to all the retirees. I believe the current school board and the District 25 school boards from previous years have done an excellent job and have been very responsive to the needs of our teachers, students, and staff. The current school board has faced tremendous challenges in this COVID environment. In my opinion, the transition from a remote learning environment to hybrid to in-person learning was handled cautiously and quite well by school officials, given the somewhat limited science on COVID and conflicting data here and there. I'm very happy with the informative emails and text messages that I received from school officials this year and in 2020, and feel confident that brighter days are ahead. With regard to student attendance and staffing issues, the student body, administrators, teachers, and staff come from many diverse backgrounds and school system, and the school system has been very inclusive. Everyone is free to express their opinions at meetings and through other channels, including online, and as I'm doing right now. I've noticed that the school system has been very warm and welcoming, is a very warm and welcoming environment. No one is shut out arbitrarily. Being a resident of Arlington Heights for nearly 26 years, I've witnessed the many different comments and suggestions that school officials have considered in the past and present, and the creative and innovative policies they have been implementing to help facilitate student learning, competitiveness, and better achievement. I always believe school is a place for learning, not debating politics. Our students need to be prepared for what lies ahead as they face more competition, not only domestically, but internationally as well. We should continue examining many of the complex and day-to-day issues that students, teachers, and staff are experiencing, such as special education needs, lunch menus, and after-school programs, just to name a few, and help develop action plans that can address these issues. So to all our educators, administrators, and staff, keep up the good work, and thank you.
All right. Do we have any further?
Hello, Melissa Kerr. On board docs, agenda item 13A for the consent agenda items, will you please attach the supporting documentation so the public can follow along during the meeting? 13A consent agenda. Attach the supporting documentation.
Thank you. All right, we'll move into online submissions.
There are 5 comments submitted online by noon today. The first one from Christine Organ. To say that I am disappointed, disheartened, and infuriated by the board's decision not to vote Anisha Patel to the position of vice president is a vast understatement. The board failed its duty to the community, parents, and most importantly, our students. Your decision to pass up a qualified female candidate flies in the face of everything that you preach, and the irony that the DEI plan was discussed in the same meeting as this vote is disgusting. It is time for the board to walk the walk, not just talk the talk. History is watching, and so are our children. The community deserves better. From Sean Molina. Members of the school board and Dr. Bine. I recently received the email from Dr. Bine addressing the recent CDC guidance regarding the use of masks by individuals who have been vaccinated and the discussions and guidance received from the Cook County Department of Public Health. While I can appreciate the Cook County Department of Public Health not wanting to waver in their stance, schools should continue to follow the CDC's specific school guidance until more people and children are vaccinated. Our district has been quite proactive in providing our teachers with the vaccine, and from what I have heard, most if not all D25 teachers have gone ahead and been vaccinated. The vaccine is still not approved for children under 12, and data suggests that the virus has not had a major impact on those children under the age of 12. That being said, I strongly urge that the school board, at the very least, allow for our children to remove their masks when outdoors, either for recess, PE class, or any other class activities. With the weather finally becoming consistently warmer, And given this recent update to the CDC guidance, allowing our children to play and be outside without masks should be strongly considered, as these group settings pose a minimal risk to the children. Thank you. From Sarah Iantis, the CDC now recommends that fully vaccinated people do not need to wear masks indoors. Can the mask mandate be removed at schools? Teachers are vaccinated and children have been proven to not spread COVID. Plus, the recovery rate for children is 99.9%. From Carrie Hood, end the masks, social distancing, and contact tracing now. We have had, I think it says, vaccines for months. Kids have never been a high risk for COVID, nor is COVID spreading in schools. We have known this for months, yet we have carried on as though we had zero data proving this. Move forward. And from Craig Stone, I believe this is a advertisement for a company, School Lunch Alternative, Marla's Lunch, delivering prepackaged restaurant-prepared lunches to schools, fully outsourced, ready for classroom distribution, COVID-ready, serving 30-plus public schools in Illinois: Glencoe, Deerfield, Kenilworth, Winnetka, Northbrook, Green Oaks, and soon to be in Schaumburg, all public schools. A virtual cafeteria, online ordering, delivering before lunchtime. And that's all of the comments that were submitted by noon today.
All right, thank you. Next, we're moving on to communications to and from board members, and we're going to start with Gina Faso reporting on NSSEO.
NSSEO has not had a meeting since our last meeting, so there's no update for this evening.
All right, thank you. Next up is IASB, and I believe, Greg, did you want to add something for IASB?
Yeah, I just want to share a quick update with my colleagues. So Nisha had mentioned at a previous meeting that they're running a summer series on social emotional leadership, a series of webinars, and the first one was last week, Monday, and I was able to attend, and the presenter was Dr. Doug Bolton, right out of Northbrook. And he's just a very engaging presenter, used stories and scaffolded the topic expertly to kind of bring the participants on board. So I just wanted to put another plug in for that series, and as we know, those are archived, so if you can't make the actual day it's presented, you can always go back and check it out.
All right, thank you, Greg. Next up, EdRed, and Stacy, you're on the agenda for that.
There was a meeting on Monday, but I wasn't able to attend. I don't know if anyone else was able to.
I attended that meeting. It really was a review of legislation that's going through the process, and an update we received today on a bill that the board discussed previously, the bill about should the state set metrics statewide. That bill today resurfaced in the Senate. It is amended. I haven't read through it all, but basically EdRed's first review of it says it's a, what do they call it, like a gut and replace. Basically, it's a whole new bill now with a whole new topic. Maybe some of you have read all of it already. I haven't, but otherwise there was no real new news at the last meeting.
All right, moving on, we have the board governance framework, and I think for today I'm going to cover, unity of purpose. Seeing all the retirees kind of inspires this collective goal that the board has, so I'm going to start with the school board is a guardian of the public trust. Board members have the opportunity to take responsibility for the success of local public education. Through the policies they make, school boards establish the standards and philosophies by which the district is run and the criteria used to judge whether they are being run well. We affirm the unique role in public education whereby each community collectively pools its resources for the common good through the education of its students. Therefore, we seek to uphold and improve public education for our community. And there's a list of different ways we're doing that. We can cover that in future meetings, but I think that is very relevant, seeing that all the educators that finish their careers in District 25. So that's our governance framework. Next is communications to board members. I want to start with the PTA. Liz Neerman.
Good evening. Currently in our PTA year, our executive boards are turning over. New officers are taking on their roles. I'd like to thank all the volunteers who sat on the local boards this year. As you all know, it was an extraordinary year to take on a volunteer position. I would especially like to recognize our outgoing presidents, Dryden's Roseanne Murray, Greenbrier's Sarah Hess, Ivy Hill's Jennifer Sadowski, Olive's Heather Schramm, Patton's Larissa Laufenberg, South's Julie Carlucci, Thomas's Lucy Block, Westgate's Michelle Harris, and Windsor's Katie Wendt. These women took on a mammoth leadership role in our community and did everything they could to give our schools as much normality, support, and fun as possible this year. They strategized with their boards to build community and worked with families, teachers, and administrators patiently and tirelessly. I witnessed them reinvent just about everything, and I feel confident that PTA will come out stronger and more flexible than ever, thanks to our amazing volunteers we've had. Another special thank you goes out to Sarah Van Hughes, who is finishing her term as our council treasurer. Sarah has led us through financial intricacies for years, first as the treasurer at Olive, and now finally at the council level. Her leadership and advice has helped to create a more inclusive council, and we will miss her. Finally, I'd like to introduce Nicole Barberry, who will take over from me as council president in July. Nicole comes to us as a Dryden parent, a former PTA president, a former teacher at South Middle School, and a friend to many. Welcome, Nicole.
Thank you, Liz, for the warm introduction. And on behalf of the 2020-2021 Council, we want to thank you for all of your support and your leadership during such a unique time. So thank you very much. And I am looking forward to collaborating with the incoming PTA presidents, the council members, and with the District 25 community. Thank you.
Thank you. I think on a board note, we got to witness the PTA the other day come and do Westgate, riding our bikes to school. That was a wonderful event. I don't think they had enough spots to park the bikes. It was super impressive. So keep up the great work in the community. It's wonderful, and the kids are just having a blast. I did the smiles on their face, even through the mask, you could see them. So thank you. Next up, we have ABC 25 with Ann Poyer.
So, Mr. President, if
Yes.
it's okay, as the board representative working with ABC 25,
Yeah.
I will provide updates on a going forward basis.
Sounds good.
Is that okay?
Are we good? Yeah.
So, first and foremost, point of clarification, NSSEO has not had a public meeting since our last meeting. And for ABC 25, thank you to everyone who came out for the race. It was great, and to all the families that did it virtually, we really appreciate it. It was very well received. We had a really good year, and it felt really good to be back and together, if it was virtual or whether or not you were at the race. Huge shout out to all the volunteers. We had so many people come out and help, and we very much appreciate it. Look forward to more information coming from us as we get ready to kick off grants for our teachers based on the fundraising that we have successfully done, as well as a shout out and a reach out to anyone who is interested in doing a volunteer position. We are always open to taking on more volunteers, and we would love to have people come out and join.
Excellent. Thank you, Gina. Next, ATA. Don't have ATA. Anybody from the board want to? No. All right. Moving on to student learning. Summer U. And all that. Dr. Fitzpatrick. And Dr. Yes, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Everybody.
All right, so we're here tonight to give you just a bit of a preview about our summer programs. There's a couple of them, so we're going to share some information about enrollment, and staffing as compared to the last time we had these summer programs, which would have been the summer of 2019.
And so joining us this evening are Nick Filipowski, Associate Principal at Thomas and Principal of Summer U. He's coming back. We're so grateful to have him back in that role. And then we also have Melanie Soprano, Assistant Principal at Windsor, and she's going to be our principal for the Extended School Year program. So they're here to talk a little bit about each of those programs. And with that, I'll kick it off to Melanie.
Okay, good evening. As Becky said, I will be the Extended School Year principal this summer, which will be held at Windsor. It will run from June 16th to July 14th. We have 192 students who qualified for the Extended School Year program, and we have 116 students registered to receive special education services through the Extended School Year program. We will use 15 classroom spaces, plus therapy offices, as well as gym, commons, and the main office during our time. So our early childhood program in this school year, this summer, we have 45 students registered for our EC classes, and there are 4 teachers and 9 teaching assistants to support the early childhood program. Back in 2019, you can see that we had 42 students with 5 teachers and 9 teaching assistants. Our kindergarten through 5th grade program has 64 students registered for our program this summer, with 8 teachers and 20 teaching assistants. Back in 2019, we had 83 students with 10 teachers and 20 teaching assistants to support that part of our program. And finally, our middle school 6th to 7th graders. This year, we have 17 students registered to attend our program with 2 teachers and 4 teaching assistants. And in 2019, we had 13 students, 2 teachers, and 4 TAs to support that part of our program. Our related service providers, this summer, we have 2 speech and language pathologists that will service our early childhood all the way through our 7th grade students who are eligible for those services. Back in 2019, we had 4. This year, we have 2 social workers. Actually, 2019, from here on out for these related services, their staffing is very similar. So our social workers, we have 2. We have 1 occupational therapist to support the programs and 1 physical therapist. This year, we do have 2 nurses. One of our students does require a 1-to-1 nurse, which is why it differs from 2019.
So that leads us to a little bit about Summer U so far. We've had an outpouring of interest, which has been very exciting. So due to some construction this summer at South Middle School, which is traditionally the campus for Summer U, we are moving over to Thomas Middle School, which is easy for me. So we will run the program from June 16th to July 14th, which is also a longer program than we've run traditionally, to really help out with some enrichment and review with our students. We have about 45 classroom spaces that we'll be using throughout the school on both levels. What I'm really proud and excited to say, with the help of our amazing assistant principal, Amy Harder, we have worked really hard to hire and serve our community. The only wait lists that we had were for our enrichment courses, which those are ones that our teachers here in District 25 might design themselves. So we can't open another section of that necessarily, because it's that teacher's unique course they're teaching, right? But all of our review courses that we offer through the district, and we have the curriculum and the supplies, we were able to get everyone off of wait lists for all of those classes. You'll see in 2019, we had 518 students registered, and this year we have 733 currently registered. We had 39 teachers in 2019, now 42. We also had 2 TAs, where now we have 0. The driving number on our TAs is really something that has to do with student IEPs, and if a student has an IEP that dictates that they need that assistance during Summer U, and this year we did not have any that had that. You'll see in 2019 our enrichment courses, those ones I was talking about where our teachers design unique courses for the summer, were much more populous, whereas this year we have 13 review courses versus 1 in 2019 and 3 enrichment courses. We also have 11 sections of EL this year versus 16 in 2019.
And then in addition to those 2 programs, we have 2 other programs. Camp Invention is a program that will take place at Dryden Elementary School from July 19th to the 23rd. It's a full-day program from 9 to 3:30 each day, and its registration is separate from Summer U. It's an outside provider that works with someone on our staff to provide that. And as you can see from the description, it's really a focus on STEM for our students. And then we will also have our summer band program back this summer. That'll be held at Thomas Middle School. That program takes place in August. So kind of a lead up for our students getting ready to participate in the program in the fall. This summer band is for students who are currently in grades 5 through 7 who will be attending South or Thomas in the fall. And rehearsals are every day from 9:40 till 10:40. Students will have 2 group lessons each week, either before or after rehearsal, and lesson schedules will be distributed the first rehearsal. And then the final concert will be the last night of the final day, so August 12th at 7 p.m. if you want to add that to your calendar, if you should so desire. So that rounds out our summer programs. These are just some important dates. We've talked about them, but just to kind of give you an idea. There's a lot happening this summer. We're going to be kind of busy with all these throughout the year, or throughout the summer, so there'll be lots of opportunities for our students. And just want to remind the board, we talked about this at previous meetings, Summer U, as we discussed, has been offered free to our students for the review classes. Families can pay to have their students participate in the enrichment classes. And at the last board meeting, we also talked a little bit about using some of our ESSER funds to purchase some supplies for Summer U. In particular, Nick kind of referenced getting staffing up. We have a number of teachers who are from out of district, in addition to our staff who have graciously stepped up to continue teaching throughout the summer. So to ensure there's some continuity for our students that will be with those teachers coming from out of district, we have purchased some additional materials for them so that we can continue to provide a robust experience for them. And then also just wanted to remind the board that we'll be back in the fall to give you a bit of an update, like we traditionally do, about how the summer programs went, and to also talk a little bit about progress that the students have made through that experience. So, any questions for us?
Thank you so much for the presentation and for jumping on to coordinate the Summer U program, especially after this year. Expanding learning through the summer and providing such a robust program is going to be so important. So thank you so much for doing that. And I'm glad, Dr. Fitzpatrick, that you talked about Camp Invention, because as a mom, it reminded me I need to sign up with Mr. Grease, because it is actually, I'll put a plug in, it's a great program at Dryden. So I'm glad you talked about that today, because I need to sign up. A couple, just 1 or 2 questions here. So, as of course, and as a point of clarification, the Summer U program is fully in person, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And then as far as any remote students who may need support, the tutoring that we had talked about from the ESSER funds, that will only begin in the fall, or are there any programs in the summer for any students who may have health conditions who cannot come into the building?
Yeah, the tutoring that we talked about at the last meeting that is through our ESSER grants, that will begin in the new school year, so that won't be available during the summer. There are occasions where families contact the district office, maybe to inquire as to whether or not there's any teachers that might be doing any tutoring over the summer. So we just keep track of any teachers that might be doing that, and parents can elect to do that for their students if they should want to. In a remote situation.
Yeah, that may be a great idea to provide resources for any students who cannot, for any reason, be in the buildings. as to what can they do. And there's great programs in the community through the library and other remote programs. But I'm so excited for the students to have a summer school program, to be in the buildings, and to hopefully be outside a lot too during summer.
Yeah, so are we.
For Summer U.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mr. President.
Yes, Rich.
Becky, just a question. I didn't necessarily hear that last part in your presentation about the assessment, or how will we know the value that Summer U provided to the students. Can you just maybe recap that? I don't think I heard that right.
Sure. Yeah, when we think about Summer U traditionally, it's really designed to keep students engaged in learning. That has traditionally been the purpose. Certainly after this year, any opportunity that we have to sort of further accelerate growth of our students, you know, we're going to be looking to do that. It's not throughout the entire summer, so it's time limited, but we'll be administering the map to all of our students come the fall, and we're going to, as we do every year, quite honestly, take a look at that information. In particular, we're going to take a close look at our students who participated in the Summer U program to note any progress that they made during that time, and we'll share that information with you guys in the fall.
So you'll be able to show us before, you know, because you'll have the map or the assessments prior to it, and then the
Correct.
most recent
We
one
just
after.
finished
Okay. Yep.
map testing with our students in the
Okay.
spring, so we'll have some indication as to what, if any, impact anything that we have provided over the summer has had on our students.
That'll be a great tool to see the great progress I'm sure that everyone will make.
Mr. President.
Yes, Brian.
Becky, one of the things that jumped out at me was the decline in the number of enrichment courses. Can you just speak a little bit to that?
Yeah, it would be hypothesizing a little bit, but suffice it to say that many of our teachers are looking forward to a bit of a break over the summer. We didn't have as many people apply for those type of positions. As Nick mentioned, those are courses that they create themselves. So it's a considerable amount of work. We were actually feeling quite fortunate that we had some people who have done it summer after summer after summer, agreed to come back and provide it again this summer. So I think we can attribute some of that to the fact that teachers really gave it their all, and they're continuing to give it their all until the very last day with students during the school year. And hopefully we'll maybe see a return to more typical numbers moving forward. But it's probably a good chance too to really show appreciation for what both Nick and Melanie have done to staff overall. There was a considerable amount of extra work that certainly Nick had to put in terms of advertising and marketing, looking at different ways to kind of draw in people who are in the profession but perhaps in other districts. So he's taken on a pretty big challenge this year, but we're ready to go.
Thank you.
I'll just add to that. I don't know if the board also heard Nick said it at the beginning that we extended Summer U this year, kind of an extra week. So we did have some extra learning time with those students who need support. So it goes past the July 4th holiday, where in past summers we had been done by that time.
Please no.
We don't have a
Please,
pyrotechnics
just
enrichment class.
not on
Just
campus.
to reassure you.
Let's not.
Mr. President?
Yes.
Just a quick question on the scope. When we say there's 13 review courses, are those 13 distinct courses or a course with 3 sections, or what does that look like?
Sure. Off the top of my head, we don't actually have unique courses that are 13. 13 is that from the past, I believe. No, we have our intermediate lit review or math review. And we have keyboarding for both primary and intermediate. So we don't have a full course load of 13 different, so it would be the 13 sections. Just like for our EL sections, that represents 11 sections of classes, not necessarily, obviously not 11 grade levels. So that's just the number of sections that we have of different review courses.
Sure, and then, so the course offerings, and how were those developed? I mean, were families expressing interest? Was it a list that you developed or some combination?
So it's been a course selection that we've had for years. This is my 3rd year with Summer U, and it was something that was handed on down. So, you know, it's just what we've been offering for a long time. One of the things as we've been looking to with, because we say, like, for example, this is an EL 2nd grade review course, and we usually have a 2nd grade EL teacher that teaches it. There's a lot of things there, the teachers are doing their favorite things from the year. So as we're looking at this year, providing those extra materials and that robust experience, we're also looking at what are we wanting to really require from these courses, and how do we get our students that robust experience and make sure no matter who's taking it over, that there are some of those standards. So looking at our standards-based report card and all of the best practices that we have built up and the resources behind that, to give a better outline, so that we have that rigorous experience this summer.
Yeah, and just to add to what Nick was saying, so our review courses are just that, right? Review of the really essential standards from the school year that we feel those students could use some reinforcement in. It's those enrichment courses during a typical year that can be very unique as designed by teachers. We've had Harry Potter class, we've had volleyball, we've had camping, we've had all kinds of, the sky's the limit on those. And those are typically from teachers' creative ideas. And then we advertise those and families sign up for what looks like an interest for their child.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you. I think we all know what we're doing August 12th for the band concert, so we'll see you there. And thank you much for bringing that to the board.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Business and Finance, and this is Stacy Malik. This is also an action item, so have anyone with a motion?
Mr. President,
Yes, Anisha.
I recommend that the Board of Education approve the resolution abating the working cash fund in the amount of $210,141.
I have a second. Thank you, Chad. All right, Lana.
This is an annual resolution that we've been transferring the money from the bond proceeds we sold back since 2015. Those bond proceeds are required to be deposited in the working cash fund. The expenditures are required to be paid out of the capital projects fund. The law does not allow for a transfer from the working cash fund to the capital projects fund, so we have to transfer it from working cash to the operations and maintenance fund, and then we do an accounting transfer from the O&M fund to the capital projects fund. This is the remainder, this is the balance of what's left of the bond proceeds in our working cash fund. And so this should be the final transfer of those bond proceeds.
All right, we don't have to read the resolution, do we?
No.
Okay. Any questions, comments, concerns? All right, with that, Lana, can you call the roll?
Mr. Cerniglia? Sorry. Member?
Yes.
Cerniglia? Member Faso?
Yes.
Member Connolly?
Yes.
Member Scapalato?
Yes.
Member Olenichek?
Yes.
Member Patel?
Yes.
Member Philippek?
Yes. I'm sorry, passes 7-0. Next up, Stacy, you're back up with the award to copy paper bid. This is also a action item. So,
Mr. President?
yes, Brian?
I move that the Board of Education award the 2021-2022 copy paper bid to Murnane.
Thank you, Brian. Do I have a second?
Second.
Gina, seconds. Thank you. Stacy, it's back to you.
Paper is one of the items we do go out to bid every year because while there is a state contract award out for paper, a lot of these companies are very local to District 25, so we tend to continue to see at least a small savings in the per case price over the state contract when we bid it out. Murnane is our current vendor this year, and they have come in as a low bid next year, and we have been pleased with their product.
All right, Brian, this was always your favorite, wasn't it? Yeah, this is. Any questions or comments on this? Okay, with that, Lana, please call the roll.
Member Fossil?
Yes.
Member Conley?
Yes.
Member Scapalato?
Yes.
Member Olenichek?
Yes.
Member Patel?
Yes.
Member Philippek?
Yes.
Member Cherniglia?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. All right. Next, we move on to personnel and planning, and I see Dr. K sitting down. What you got for us? We have a motion.
Mr. President,
Yes, Anisha.
I recommend that the Board of Education approve the 2021-2022 personnel plan as submitted.
Thank you, Anisha. Do I have a second? Got Gina, second. All right, Dr. K.
Good evening, Board of Education and Dr. Vine. Tonight I'm presenting the personnel plan for next school year. These staffing projections are based on student enrollment projections, program needs, mandated state programming, student identified needs, and the goals of the district. After extended conversations with building administrators, we are recommending the following changes for the 2020-2021 personnel plan. A couple of positions that I want to highlight on the plan. One, an increase of 3.5 FTE tech facilitators to support our growing technology needs at the elementary buildings as we continue with our one-to-one devices this school year. An additional 1.0 FTE for the building support technician at Dunton to support the one-to-one implementation throughout the elementary schools. This school year, we also added 5.34 FTE in teaching assistant support for newly identified students for special education. Based on student enrollment, I am requesting a small increase of FTE at the middle schools in PE and Spanish. An increase of 0.2 FTE for middle school social workers to support the increase in students' social emotional needs and managing our growing 504 caseloads. An increase in 3.5 FTE in resource teacher support that will impact 5 different buildings. This addition will help support our students identified with special education needs and allow our resource program to better support the students' individualized needs. Based on enrollment, we are also requesting an additional 1.0 FTE integrated services teacher at first grade at Westgate. Through the ESSER funds, we are also recommending 4.0 FTE of intervention support that will be used to target needs throughout the district based on assessment data for both math and reading. Lastly, to support the growing communication needs, I am recommending the addition of a communications assistant who will be tasked with providing more day-to-day communications, raising public awareness of events, programs, services, and goals of the district. Finally, in addition to these recommendations, we will continue to budget a contingency amount to accommodate staffing needs that may arise due to unexpected enrollment changes or new students with special education needs entering the school district. At this time, I recommend that the Board of Education approve the 21-22 personnel plan as presented.
Thank you, Dr. K. Any questions or comments?
Mr. President.
Rich.
Just something that I think we talked about at some point, but not for this meeting, but maybe right before the school year starts, when you start looking at the actualness of the personnel plan, if we could have, here's where we are in terms of total staff, the amount of openings, how long they've been open, things of that nature, so we get a sense of, yes, we have, I'm just making numbers up, 100 positions, but we only have 90 filled, or we have 90 filled, but we need to contract out 10. So we get a better sense of the total staffing mix or how long positions are open, things of that nature.
I'm hopeful they'll all be filled, but that would be a great report.
Absolutely.
Mr. President?
Yes, Anisha.
Dr. K, I'm really happy to see that the personnel plan includes interventionists to support our special education students in the community and to make sure all our students' needs are met. That's excellent. And I'm especially happy to support the communications, what's the title called again? The communications assistant job description. It'd be great to clone Adam Harris, and since we can't do that, it's great that we, with the goal of continuing to have helpful communication for the community at large. Thank you for that job description. Looks great, and I fully support that.
Great. Thank you.
So you mentioned Adam Harrison, he moves the camera over to you, so that's, yeah, I saw how that works. That doesn't go unnoticed, Adam.
That's good communication.
Anything else from the board? All right, with that, Lana, can you take the roll?
Member Conley?
Yes.
Member Scapalato?
Yes.
Member Oliniechek?
Yes.
Member Patel?
Yes.
Member Philippek?
Yes.
Member Cherniglia?
Yes.
Member Faso?
Yes.
All right, vote passes 7-0. Moving on, we have the administrative compensation 21-22, and this is also an action item. A lot of action today. Anybody?
Mr. President,
Yes, Anisha.
I recommend that the Board of Education approve the contracts and 2021-2022 compensation for all administrators, including principals, assistant principals, directors, and coordinators as submitted.
Thank you, Anisha. Do I have a second? Thank you, Chad. All right. Dr. K, take it away.
All right, next this evening, I'm presenting to the board the administrative compensation for 21-22. The board is presented with individual contracts for all returning administrators. All administrators that are not currently in the middle of a multi-year contract or part of a retirement agreement are receiving one-year contracts. Each contract reflects a 3.0% increase in base salary. The increases in compensation will allow Arlington Heights School District 25 to remain competitive and still fiscally responsible. It also allows us to develop and retain outstanding administrators to lead our school communities. We are very fortunate to have minimal leadership mobility during the past 2 school years, and we are grateful that we will be able to retain and develop our current leadership team. I recommend that the Board of Education approve the 21-22 administrative compensation for these employees as submitted. Are there any questions?
Hearing none, I will defer to Lana for the roll.
Member Scapalato?
Yes.
Member Oliniechek?
Yes.
Member Patel?
Yes.
Member Philippek?
Yes.
Member Cherniglia?
Yes.
Member Faso?
Yes.
Member Conley?
Yes.
All right, motion passes 7-0. And finally, from Dr. K, we have, excuse me, non-certified employee compensation. I lost there for a second. Do we have a motion on this action item?
Yeah, Mr. President.
Yes, Anisha.
I recommend that the Board of Education approve the 2021-2022 compensation for the non-certified employees as submitted.
Thanks, Anisha. Do I have a second? Second. Thank you, Rich. Take it away.
Lastly, this evening, I am presenting to the board the non-certified employee compensation for 21-22. The recommendation is to increase employee compensation for current educational support personnel, also known as ESP, teaching and clerical assistant personnel, food service, registered nurses, and individuals classified as other at Dunton administrative offices for 21-22 school year. These increases are intended to support Arlington Heights School District 25 in retaining, developing, and attracting high-quality, innovative employees. We seek to remain competitive with our surrounding school districts and attract and retain quality staff. The recommended increase for the other non-certified staff positions is 3.0%, with a larger increase to bring our food service salaries up to $15 an hour to remain competitive. The total anticipated increase in salaries for all non-union staff will be 2.92% as a result of staff turnover and includes the following groups: teaching assistants, building support technicians, registered nurses, educational support personnel, other, which includes district office, technology support staff, payroll, benefits, among others, food service employees, and administrators. The crossing guard staff compensation is set by the Village of Arlington Heights, and the salaries are also reimbursed by the Village of Arlington Heights. This group will be given a 2.3% increase for the 21-22 school year. I recommend that the Board of Education approve the 21-22 compensation for non-certified employees as submitted. Are there any questions?
Mr. President.
Yes, Anisha.
Dr. Kay, I just had a comment, and it may not be for this item, but in personnel and planning altogether. I'm really happy to see that on our agenda we have the connection to the strategic plan 2021-20, for the 2020-25 year that we just developed. And the line that I want us to continue to pay attention to is to attract, develop, and retain diverse, high-quality, innovative employees. The District 25 has historically always hired the best of the best. Not only is it a destination district for our families, but it's a destination district for folks to work here. And as we do that, to continue to cultivate an inclusive environment and hire the best educators, and acknowledging that diversity is an asset when we're hiring. Thank you.
Great point. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? All right. Lana, can you call?
Member Olenichek?
Yes.
Member Patel?
Yes.
Member Philippek?
Yes.
Member Cherniglia?
Yes.
Member Faso?
Yes.
Member Connolly?
Yes.
Member Scapalato?
Yes.
All right, motion passes 7-0. Thank you, Dr. Kay.
Thank you very much.
All right, moving on to our superintendent report. We'll have Dr. Bine.
Thank you. The first item is just to share with the board the strategic plan timeline. You may remember that I shared previously that we'd be bringing a timeline to you where you would see updates on the goals kind of more consistently throughout the timeline of the plan, as opposed to the previous plan, we would come to whenever a goal was achieved, so at the end of it. So this just shows you the upcoming school year, what our plan is for sharing with you and with the community each month. Starting with in September, we'll be reporting out to you on the process we completed to identify the action teams for each of the goals. You'll remember that we've got an application out there for the community right now that goes through tomorrow to express their interest. So we'll be sharing that with you, sharing with you who all the members are on each of those 5 goal teams. And we'll be sharing with you an update that we'll do with all 5 goal teams, kind of a update, kind of a state of the district, where we'll lay the foundation for each of those goal teams on where we're at in the areas of curriculum, personnel, finances, operations, special services, etc. So we'll share those updates with you in September. And then we're going to basically rotate through the goals. It doesn't mean that there won't be a goal that doesn't have an update as a part of a meeting, but we're going to make sure that we've got each goal on the calendar for the year. So in October, we'll give you an update on the family and community goal. In November, the first update on the high quality staff goal. In December, the student achievement goal. In January, the learning environment goal. And in February, the stewardship of resources goal. And then we'll come back around to each of those. We'll probably do 2 at a meeting to move through the second half of the year. And then at the last meeting in May, we'll do an overall strategic plan process update and share with you the timeline for the next year, get your input on anything before we move forward into the second year of that strategic plan. So I just wanted to put this on your radar. Basically, these items will show up on the agenda at those meetings, just so we have a consistent part of our agenda that brings back the strategic plan to the board. Questions?
Mr. President?
Yes, Rich.
Just to then clarify, have these working groups then all been identified and ready to meet, or that's still in the works?
Right, so the deadline for them to apply is tomorrow, okay. And then we'll go through all the interests that we have and determine those.
Mr. President?
Yes, Gina.
Dr. Bine, can you just clarify, and actually, Becky, maybe for you, when do we get the updates on the testing? And is that in accordance to when we will see the student achievement goal updates?
No, so you'll still get an assessment update, both this summer from the ones that we're finishing now, and then again in the fall, and it may not necessarily align. It would be earlier than the student achievement goal update. So you'll still get some of the regular things that we do for the board, like assessment updates outside of these timelines. There's a lot of things that come under business and finance that you'll continue to see. It won't just be during the month of that stewardship of resources and goals. But we'll make sure that we specifically bring back a goal to you at each, according to this timeline, because there will be more things as a part of it that the action teams will be working on.
Okay, thank you.
Anything further? All right, thank you, Dr. Vine. Next topic is committees, and again.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to make sure that I have the board's final thoughts on board committees moving forward. So we attached the draft that Lana and I were able to view. And I guess I'm just coming to the board to see if these are finalized or if we're still working on them, because there will be some information and connections we'll need to make for board members for some of these groups.
Everybody reviewed? Looks good. All right, thank you everyone for stepping up. I know this job on its face as a board member is quite time consuming, and thank you for going above and beyond by stepping up for these committees, because this adds another aspect to the position, but the dedication is wonderful here, seeing all the boxes full. That's great without having to twist arms. I know that's a process. So thank you everybody for stepping up for this.
Yeah, thank you. Our appreciation as well. And again, I'll reach out to you. Some of you will need some new login information, and we'll need to share your names with different organizations so that you're included. So we'll get you all connected. Thank you. And then the next item I have, the last item I have, is a CDC and Illinois Department of Public Health guidance update, as well as a few other pieces. As you know, the Centers for Disease Control updated their publication called When You've Been Fully Vaccinated. Additionally, the Department of Public Health notified their local health departments that, and I quote, "Schools should continue to follow the CDC's school guidance until more people and children are vaccinated," unquote. So we have notified staff and families on May 14th that all of our mitigation strategies will continue to be implemented at schools and school-sponsored events until there is specific school-related guidance published by our health department or the Illinois State Board of Education. In addition, I have some additional information that I'll share with you related to this. Let's see, where will I start? Here, I'll start here. Some additional information that we have received, excuse me. On May 14th, the Cook County Department of Public Health did do their own bridge phase mitigation order, at which time they stated in their order that schools should continue to follow the CDC guidance. The CDC updated their guidance for schools on May 15th, and at that point also stated that CDC recommends schools continue to use the current COVID-19 prevention strategies for the 2021 school year. Those prevention strategies do include the mitigation strategies you've all heard, correct use of masks, physical distancing to the greatest extent possible, hand washing and respiratory etiquette, cleaning and maintaining healthy facilities, and contact tracing in combination with isolation and quarantine. Additionally, the governor's executive order on May 17th about the bridge phase does note that individuals in schools, daycare settings, and educational institutions should continue to follow separate guidance issued by the Illinois State Board of Education, the Illinois Department of Children and Family Services, and the Illinois Department of Public Health. And as recent as today, one of the boards, attorney firms, referencing also an update today from the health department. Again, stated that please note that schools should continue to follow guidance from the Illinois State Board of Education and Illinois Department of Public Health, which has not yet been updated to exempt fully vaccinated individuals from mask and social distancing requirements in school. Related to this topic, I wanted to share an update with the board. You'll remember that we gave 8th grade families the choice to have their children move to remote for these last 2 weeks of school, because many families were worried about if their child became a close contact, they might miss end of the year and especially graduation. So just to share with you, we've had 15 students who have moved to remote at Thomas Middle School. We have 150 students who moved to remote at South Middle School. 1-5 at Thomas, 150 at South, 10 times as many. So, also related, and it was all over the news, which was interesting to see. The Illinois State Board of Education did take action yesterday to require schools to resume fully in-person learning in the 21-22 school year. They changed the remote learning language. So when I shared with the board, when we talked previously about what we were going to do next year, the motion that the board took was to provide remote learning for at-risk students as required by the State Board of Education. And we had that there on purpose because we knew things were fluid. So that language has been changed by the Board of Education. Now, remote learning language for the 21-22 school year is that remote learning should be provided only to students who are not able to access a vaccination due to age or medical need, and also are required to quarantine due to close contact or other issue as identified by the Illinois Department of Public Health. So it has to meet both of those. There were a lot of questions about what does "and" mean, which was very fun to be a part of that going around. But so next year, all students will be expected to return in person unless they're not able to get a vaccine because of age mostly, and they're having to quarantine. And in that situation, if we are still in, for example, a 14-day or a 10-day or a 7-day, whatever that quarantine amount is, we must, as school districts, provide a remote option for those students during that time. So obviously that does not apply to students who are 12 and older, again, except in really unique situations, which I can talk about, but will apply to our 3-year-olds through 11-year-olds until vaccines become available for them. Students who are medically fragile, so those students who can't get the vaccine or have other medically fragile situations, they have always been able to and will continue to qualify for homebound tutoring. So there is a part of school code that allows us to provide homebound tutoring for students who are going to miss 10 days or more due to a temporary or permanent medical situation. So we still will have that option should that be needed. And I think that's, see if I had any other things related to that. So it helps us to have that resolution from the State Board of Education, because now we know for sure kind of what our marching orders are from the Illinois State Board of Education for the new school year. And then the other thing that I just wanted to share related to this topic is, as you know, we're in contact with the Illinois Department of Public Health and the Cook County Department of Public Health very regularly. And all superintendents in North Cook County wrote a letter together to the Health Department and also to the State Board of Education, asking that they change the close contact rule from within 6 feet to within 3 feet. Because you know, all of those organizations changed our ability to have in-person learning by saying students could be 3 feet instead of 6 feet. A lot of schools that hadn't opened for in-person reopened for in-person learning. But as you knew from the beginning, they didn't change the close contact distance, so we knew when we have a case, we're gonna have a lot more, exponentially more kids who have to quarantine. So we've all asked that that be changed and be put in alignment. I know that my colleagues in DuPage County wrote the same letter. We shared it, and they shared it with us. We shared it with others, and we also know McHenry County. There are probably others, those are the ones that I know of, that submitted a letter with all superintendent signatures on it. We recently found out that in Lake County, the Lake County Health Department has been approved to do a pilot study with some of their schools during the rest of this school year, where they will be collecting data on what is their close contact and quarantining result if they are using 3 feet as a close contact distance instead of 6. So there are some schools in Lake County that have recently moved to defining close contact as within 3 feet. And it's because they get to be a part of the pilot program that the Lake County Health Department has been approved to do. McHenry County has also been approved to do a study. Theirs started about a week and a half ago, where they got approval to be a part of this pilot that for the rest of their school year, they'll use 3 feet as the definition of close contact, and then we'll be providing that data to the health department. I've reached out to Cook County saying, we'd like to be a part of that pilot. They tell me that they have expressed their interest to the Illinois Department of Public Health in being a part of that pilot, but they have not been granted that at this point. So in their minds, if that gets granted, it would be starting next year. So at this point, we are following the CDC and IDPH and the Cook County continual definition of close contact, which is someone who's been within 6 feet of an infected person for a cumulative total of 15 minutes or more over a 24-hour period. So I just wanted to update you on that. I know there's been some community questions, and I think we had some public comments asking about that as well. So that is my update on all of those organizations. I'm sure I speak for a lot of our staff, all of our staff, that we are excited that the Illinois State Board of Education is making the resolution that they believe all schools should be back in full person in the fall.
Mr. President.
Yes, Rich?
So then, Laurie, so I guess based on the ever-changing guidance, and it may change tomorrow, granted, I think in our June update, when you provide us, I think in June you're going to provide us what the next year, is there any changes to the plan, things of that nature. Obviously you're going to include all this of how we deal with the remoteness for quarantining now that we have a little bit more. Okay.
Anything else?
Mr. President, Dr. Vine, thank you for explaining that and helping us understand the different health guidelines. And I'm glad that you asked to be part of that pilot, because it does cause families and the 150 students at South Middle School, that's a huge number, and the 15 who want to be sure that they are not in close contact. So thank you for asking for the pilot, and but there probably won't be any. Right, have you heard a response from them or not?
I think the Cook County Department of Public Health thinks that if they are approved to carry out the pilot, it wouldn't be until the fall.
Until the fall, okay.
First,
good.
the health department has to get approval, and then they can pick schools to do that.
Right, and another point of clarification is that Summer U, with the guidelines that you quoted here, unless there's any changes, Summer U students will have to mask. Is that correct?
Yeah, correct. So unless that ends when, what we would expect is that when Illinois goes into phase 5, that's supposed to mean that the state returns completely to normal. But I wouldn't be surprised if they don't say phase 5, but XYZ for schools. So we have to kind of wait and see. But if everything else stayed the same, then we would be continuing wearing masks in summer school.
Okay, good. But definitely after this very difficult year, that resolution that we're going to be in person 2021, 2022 is really good news for the whole world, the whole country, and Arlington. So that is good news. Thank you.
Anything else? All right, thank you, Dr. Bine. Moving on to our consent agenda. This is another action item. Do I have a motion?
Mr. President?
Yes, Anisha.
I recommend that hold on, I'm trying to find my place. Yes, I recommend that the Board of Education approve those items on the consent agenda as follows. A, personnel report and addendum to the personnel report. B, invoices. C, organizational, regular, and closed session meeting minutes of April 29, 2021. D, regular and closed session meeting minutes of May 6, 2021.
Thank you, Anisha. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Chad. Anybody have anything to comment on the consent agenda? All right, with that, Lana, can you call the roll?
Member Patel?
Yes.
Member Philippek?
Yes.
Member Cherniglia?
Yes.
Member Faso?
Yes.
Member Conley?
Yes.
Member Scapalato?
Yes.
Member Oliniechek?
Yes.
All right, motion passes 7-0. And I believe that is our last, other than the standard motions, but that's our last action item. No. Next up is public may address the board on our second public address. Anybody else that showed up or would like to speak again? And I don't see anybody jump into the mic, so we have none. Next, we have future agenda items. And I have a couple topics on there for dates to be determined. So we have kindergarten research, 2021-2022 quarantine procedures, and those are the only two. So we have to determine dates for those to discuss.
So again, I thought it might be helpful that we keep a running list on here so that the board realizes that none of us forget them, and the board realizes we're still working on them. The 21-22 quarantine procedures, we can definitely bring you at the next meeting. The kindergarten research, I would expect it's sometime this summer before the new school year starts.
Sounds good. So this will be a running kind of subject line, and for us to kind of handle as needed. So thank you for that timeline there, Dr. Bine. And with that,
Mr. President.
yes.
Maybe something that could help in this particular item, similar to what you did for the strategic update, where you listed off dates and said, hey, these are the dates that we're going to be talking about certain items. I wonder if it would be helpful for us to either keep a document, just say, okay, for the next 5, 6, 7 meetings, here's the general topics that we're thinking about putting in there. That might help us better kind of slot and see what's coming, what's not coming, things like that.
Sure, so we could add, like this been trying to show, we could add an attachment here that would show kind of those ongoing
and then
annual things that happen and when they
right.
happen.
Yeah, you just call it draft, because that way we can move it around and things of that nature. So it's not an official agenda, it's a thought.
Sounds good. Any other comments on that?
Mr. President, I had a suggestion for a new topic. I'm going to make it.
Yeah, we'll move on to the next one, new topic. So Nisha, kick us off.
Okay, thank you, sir. I was wondering, Dr. Bine, as we move forward, and maybe this is already kind of built in with the special ed kind of sessions, but if we, the listening sessions that you had put up for when the board is out in the community, but I was wondering if we could have a focused conversation with the community, possibly a listening session of exploring special education and the concerns that continue to come from the community, and in particular, exploration of inclusion of students with special education, students with special education needs in their own neighborhood school.
So that's for the board to decide if you want to have a committee of the whole meeting on a specific topic. We are also, just so you know, for your consideration, we're also working with our consultants to work on some committee of the whole special meetings on diversity, equity, and inclusion for training for the board.
Is that something we would determine now, or just throw that on there and we discuss that later?
We can add it for discussion.
All right, sounds good.
Mr. President?
Yes, Gina?
I think that it would be pertinent and relevant, especially as Dr. K also, we've expressed that there's been difficulty, so has NSSEO, in finding educators for the space. So in looking at the whole initiative of the special education realm, to Anisha's point, it may be something good that we do have some kind of a report out on from all the different aspects, putting the kids in their homeschool, whether or not we've got the ability to resource it, and what the cost of that is if we're using a contractor versus if we're able to find our own hire.
Thank you, Gina.
And I wanted to clarify, I bring that up as purely an exploration topic, just to kind of start looking at it, talking about it, to see what the, what is it a good fit for our district or not, so just to kind of explore it.
And as a reminder to the board, we did start an inclusion research before COVID, and you'll remember that we even visited some schools in different states and throughout Illinois to look at their inclusion models. So we began that process, but we can definitely plan to continue it, and so we'll work on that.
Any other new topics? All right, hearing none. Got a few more items on closed session, so do we have a motion to adjourn open to go into closed?
Mr. President?
Yes,
Mr. President.
Rich.
I move that we adjourn to move into closed session.
Thank you, Rich. Do I have a second? Second. Ooh, Brian, by a nose. All in favor? Aye. Aye. I'm sorry, it was Rich and Brian was the second. All right. Motion passes 7-0. Thank you for all coming out. We appreciate it. Have a good night.